honey? Let's go outside. Yum! Hi everyone, I'm Ember Blake. Welcome to Ember Blake Writes. Today I'm going to be working on revising my first novel, which was a paranormal romance that has the working title of The Scent of Cedar. So this book was born out of what I observed when I was reading a lot of other paranormal romance novels. I've always kind of had a fascination with werewolves, vampires, all that kind of stuff. It goes back to my mom, shout outs to her. But I noticed a lot of the novels that I was reading either had really kind of like rapey undertones, and also they tended to follow a rather common plot line, which was super sexy, immortal guy finally finds his true love in the form of an unattached, young, attractive female. There's nothing wrong with that premise, and I mean, it probably sells a lot of books, and that's obviously a good thing. A lot of people are into that too. I'm not knocking those people. I just thought it was interesting that a lot of the people that probably read these books might be not in those demographics. Well, obviously they're not going to be in the immortal demographic. Unless you believe. But I did think it was interesting and rather convenient that the person that they finally found to be their true mate was unattached and had zero complications. So I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if I wrote a book in which a hot young immortal vampire or werewolf finally finds their true mate in the form of a recent divorcee with kids? And that's kind of where it started. The inspiration actually came to me in October of last year, right before NaNoWriMo. And that was actually my first NaNoWriMo as well. I've known about it for probably about 7 or 8 years and have never attempted it before. November is kind of a tricky month for me. I have my birthday in November, and also there's Thanksgiving, and that can make things hella busy. But I decided to give NaNoWriMo a shot. I have some friends from grade school that gave me the challenge, and so I decided to go for it. It was kind of serendipitous that the inspiration for this novel came to me right before NaNoWriMo started, because I just hit the ground running with it. I was able to finish NaNoWriMo and I won, but then that kind of kicked off the revision process. I've been fortunate in that I have a lot of really great beta readers that tend to like these kinds of books and also are pretty knowledgeable in the genre. However, I probably had too many beta readers. I had like 8. I don't recommend you do that. Find like 2 or 3 really good beta readers and only use their feedback. Because otherwise, you are just going to go off the rails with your revisions. I didn't exactly get a lot of conflicting feedback, which is good. For the most part, the places that people like tend to be consistent amongst my beta readers, and also the places they didn't like. So in December, I finished up my novel. Around 66,000 words is where I ended it. And that's when I first gave it to, after doing some minor revisions, obviously, that's when I started giving it to my beta readers. Over the course of the next, say, month and a half, I got feedback from pretty much all of my beta readers, and as I got feedback from them, I tried to implement their suggestions. If they suggested that I add in another scene, then that would be the kind of thing I would work on. I also, of course, if I caught any grammatical errors, I would fix them. Toward the end of the month is when I started getting my best beta reader feedback, and that was the kind of feedback that you get from people that are familiar with the genre and are also not going to BS you. You want someone who's going to be honest about the fact that, like, your novel is not strong in this area, beef it up. So that feedback was really, really valuable. But at that point, I'd already done like 5 or 6 revisions, and I was so tired. I was also feeling very inspired to write my current book that I'm working on, Burning at Both Ends, which is a fantasy novel. So I wanted to kind of take a break from The Scent of Cedar and move on to Burning at Both Ends for leading up to Camp NaNoWriMo and also during Camp NaNoWriMo. But now, camp is over. And as fun as it was, it is truly time for me to get back into The Scent of Cedar and wrap this thing up. I've been really motivated to revise lately, and I'm going to try to capitalize on that and see if I can push through and finish the revisions of this book. Fortunately, I did have to do a lot of that work to get it ready for the contest, so I know that the beginning of my novel is pretty solid. I heavily revised it to make sure that it was literally the best that it could be. without, of course, like a professional editor maybe. I would say that it's 99.9% error-free. What I'm working on today is I'm just going to kind of keep chugging along. I'm about 40% of the way through my novel in terms of revisions, and so far there have been only very minor errors. Most of the things I'm changing are actually not errors at all. They're just word choice changes that sound better, or maybe breaking up a sentence into 2 sentences to make it flow a little bit better. I tend to have like run-on sentences when I'm first like writing a draft, and sometimes those got left in. And so now I'm going through and I'm breaking them up so that it's a little bit easier to read. So what I still need to do is obviously the last roughly 60% of my novel. I do need to add in a new ending. As I was coming up with my synopsis for the contest, I found that the current ending did not really have very much punch. This is also reflected in the feedback I got from my last beta readers who really know the genre, and they felt that the werewolf lore, which is the supernatural element in my novel, was kind of lacking. And they were right. The new ending is going to reflect more of that lore and also make the stakes a lot higher. Instead of it just being, oh no, what if her kids find out that she's dating this younger guy? Now it's going to be more like, oh no, what do the werewolves do when they find out that a human knows about the werewolves? So that should probably add around another 10,000 words at least to my novel, which would push it in the mid 80s to 90,000 word range. That's a little bit high for this genre, so at least I will be removing the old ending, which should bring that word count back down. So without further ado, let's get into it. One of the things I'm adding is I'm updating this one particular scene where the werewolves first change to make it a little bit more descriptive. The people want more lore, dang it! One of the things I do like doing is changing the status to final draft. Woo! I just wish it was a little bit more dramatic. I guess I'm just a little dramatic. And this information shocks no one. Well, I'm 100 pages in, and I'm not even done with Act 1. Is this even a problem? I feel like my pace is pretty good. Maybe an agent will be able to tell me? It's tough because I feel like the beginning is so slow, but it is really important to establish the characters. Heather is going through a lot of things right now. A divorce, kids are all in college, she's like incredibly stressed out and freaked out, and that needs to be established. And at the same time, I need to establish a baseline for Ian before he meets her, and how he's all lonely and like doesn't have a mate yet, and he's jealous of other werewolves having mates. I think I'll have to meditate on this a little bit more. But right now, it's time to go get some dinner and take a break. I'm back from my walk and my dinner, and it was great. Right, Chloe? It's hot outside, Mom. I still actually have 3 more scenes in Act 1 before I'm completely done editing that. However, that will probably get me up to roughly halfway through my books. Is it better that there are 5 acts? And the first act takes up the whole first of the book? Probably. Up until now, I've been kind of putting in edits that I made in a Word document earlier into Scrivener. So now I'm going to actually do some edits and bring you along for the process. Let's go. So I've already gone through this scene and edited it a few times, but one of the things I'm trying to do this time around is really just cut out anything that is absolutely not necessary. So one of the things I'm talking about is, for example, in this sentence, the truth was that Ian was positively vibrating at the prospect of seeing Heather again. This word positively is not necessary. Bye-bye. Another thing I'm having to go through and change a lot is timeline issues. Since I am dealing with immortal werewolves, gotta stay consistent. So I decided to change the timeline so that they've been together as werewolves for almost a century instead of over a century, which is what I originally had here. Fixed. I have gotten through one more scene. Yeah, this is really starting to hit a wall here. I'm getting quite tired. I went for like a 45-minute walk with Chloe, and it's still kind of hot here. I'm feeling the need to kind of rest. Rest is important for creativity, so do not get mad at yourself if you need a break. But that being said, I I think I'm going to wrap up this video here. Please leave me a like and subscribe. I'm a growing channel, so I'm hoping that the content I come out with is better every time. It's been such a pleasure having you here. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.